The opinions expressed in the following program are not necessarily those of Eastlink TV, its sponsors, or partners.
Hi there, I'm Gloria McCluskey, and you're watching Destination Dartmouth. My destination this morning is the Dartmouth Sportsplex, and my guest is Max Chauvin, the General Manager at the Sportsplex. Good morning, Max.
Good morning, Gloria.
And thank you for being here this morning.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I was excited to get your call.
It's great to be able to sit down here and talk about this great Sportsplex and the new Sportsplex.
Well, we're very excited about the revitalization, the renovations that are going on right now. September 2018 can't come fast enough.
No. So Max, you're the general manager.
Yes.
And you've been here, you worked here prior to becoming general manager, of course. How long have you been here?
I've been here since August 4th, 1992, so
92?
25 years.
25 years. And you haven't seen too many changes in that 25 years.
I've seen a few. I started here in the swimming pool as the pool manager, and we've done a few things over the years. We put in the big water slides. The first water slides in like that in
I was mayor, I think, when one of them went in.
I think you were,
and
yes.
I was asked to come and open it, and of course I was not going down a water slide, so I got my granddaughter Hannah, who was a swimmer, to go down the water slide.
That's right. And we've also done a few other things. We added more fitness center on the building back in the 90s.
And this room.
And this room that we're sitting up here in the Vlardo room right now.
Nothing big like we're doing now.
Oh, nothing like what we're doing now. And we're adding whole new sections to the building.
Sportsplex, even though it was still serving the community well, it was tired.
It was. Like we still had full swimming lessons and people doing everything, but you'd find things like there were leaks in the roof, the equipment was old. We did a focus group with some kids from Dartmouth High, and one of them said, "It's the 80s calling. We'd like our brick back, please." So people just knew the building was old. Someone described it as shabby. And
it was tired.
It was tired. We have about 1 million visitors a year. After 35 years, with 1 million people a year walking through the building, it was time for it to get a major
And we
renovation.
planned and we waited a long time.
Well, you were involved with the board, and in the early 2000, it was 2003, the board identified in the strategic plan that we were going to, in the future, have to do the revitalization. And here we are today now, underway. And
it took a long time, but it's finally happened.
It's finally happening, and there was lots of work to make sure that we had the right design. There was lots of consultation with the community. Lots of talking to customers and people who were using the facility and what did they need, and so that took
That's
time.
the way it should be.
Absolutely, because you have to meet the need of the community, and it's not just that the Sportsplex was tired; it's also that what citizens want from the Dartmouth Sportsplex has changed, and it's different, and we had to change the facility to meet those needs.
And some people have been inconvenienced. You know, the swim team, for instance. But that can't be helped. I mean, they had to move out.
Absolutely. So the swim team was one of the big groups that was inconvenienced. And they're now training, I think, at 5 different swimming pools to keep going. But there was no other way to do it, because you can't take the risk of having people in the building when they're taking the roof off or the walls down.
Making changes to the pool anyway.
Absolutely. We're putting in new tile in the pool. We're putting in a splash area, new water slide, new whirlpool. Also going to make the pool more accessible by putting an access ramp in so that people can get in, and just generally updating all of those features.
The, what did you call it? The little one for the kids with the splash pad.
Yes.
That'll be very popular.
That was one of the big things that came out of the community consultation, is people wanted something fun for small children, And so it will have a set of concentric rings that spray the water down that you can run through. It'll have one of those spouts that comes up and sprays water down. And it's also going to have little foot pads that you step on and water sprays up. So it'll be fun for those young children who want to go through there, and maybe with a younger brother or sister even.
So Max, we're going to get around to talking about all the changes. But first, how are you dealing with all this?
Well, it's a lot of work. So it was really hard on not only us, as you said, the community was inconvenienced. We told everybody a year in advance that this was coming, but it's still hard. We have people who come here 5 days a week. We had hundreds of employees, most of them part-time, but still, they all had to find new opportunities and things like that. So it was really hard for people. Nobody didn't understand why. Everybody believed we had to do it, but it still was hard, and you try and help people through that transition, whether it's an older adult who just comes here to walk the track or take a chair fit class, to university students who are using this as a way to help pay their university tuition and want help finding another job. So we've dealing with it. We've been very upfront with people, and we just try and keep open lines of communication with everybody, listen when people want to talk, and do the best we can to make sure that we've taken care of people.
So how long has it been going on now?
So our last day was May 28th, which was the day we had the big dog swim. I think everybody remembers that. And that was
our opening day should be
September. So right now we're saying September 15th. We had a meeting last week, and we are on track to be ready by mid-September.
That's great.
So that's good. The majority of the demolition is done, which is one of those areas where you can really lose some time. And obviously there's still variables with weather and things like that. But right now we're on track to be ready for mid-September.
Well, the weather's been good, you know. I mean, if we were out west, we'd have snow.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the weather's been very conducive to getting the work done.
Weather's been a big help to us because there's lots of roof work, there's lots of steel work.
Still working on the roof.
They're still working on that. So the good weather's been a big help. We were worried too this year about a hurricane because of the warmer water, and the hurricane centers warned us it might be a bad year. So far, it hasn't been that, and we keep our fingers crossed. But that was certainly one of the big risks of us losing our timeline, was a weather event, and still could be if we have something bad that happens in the middle of the winter.
We're not going to have anything bad.
My fingers are crossed. I'm with you.
Well, Max, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
We'll be back in a minute with Destination Dartmouth and Max Chauvin. We're back. Max, how many members did we have at the closing of the Sportsplex for temporary?
Just under 3,000.
Oh, did we really? Yeah. And how many would you get in a day? Do you have any idea?
Really depends on the day. Because like if you look at a Saturday morning, we've got swimming lessons and gymnastics and things like that. You have hundreds of kids coming in with their families for that, whereas maybe on a Monday, it's not as busy. But it wouldn't be, we'd have several hundred people a day, even on the quietest day.
And we never really had enough parking, did we?
Parking is a funny thing. We have enough parking for 350 days a year. But on those last 10 to 15 days, that's when we're short. And that's when we have huge events on, like the Christmas Craft Fair, or a big assembly in the arena.
The craft fair was a bad time.
Yeah, the craft fair was hard. Now the good news is the people kept circulating the craft fair, so you just have to have some patience. But those days we're short of parking, and we're short hundreds of spaces, which is the problem.
Did the bus, I can't remember, did the bus terminal take some of our parking?
A little bit, but not much. There was one row at the back that turned into a sidewalk.
I thought so. I couldn't quite remember that.
Yeah.
Now, how much parking are we going to have when it's all finished?
Essentially, it's going to be pretty well the same as it is now. There'll be 20 less spaces, and that's where the gym is going to encroach out onto some of that parking that was there just on the entrance where you came in off Thistle.
Yeah. Will we still have paid parking?
We do some paid rental parking, but that never really impacts the parking other than on a Friday. because most of that is here between 9 and 5, and our big parking problem days are evenings and especially weekends if we have a big event like the craft show.
So you mentioned the craft show. I really love the craft show here. Where did they go this year?
Well, the craft show was planning to go to the Bowls Arena when it was closed, but then there was a sale of the Bowls Arena, and unfortunately they couldn't stay there. So this year the Dartmouth Handcrafters Guild canceled their craft show. They're not having one, but they're already taking information and getting ready for next year. So next year is going to be a great show.
I love their craft show. They'll be back here next year?
They certainly are planning on it, and they're already starting to work on that. And we all loved the craft show. That was a good show. We enjoyed working with the Crafters Guild, as well as a lot of those vendors come back again and again and again.
A lot of that stuff is juried. It's really good.
It's really good and really nice people. And you get to know them. It's like our members. Some of those crafters I've known for 20 years. And you even in some cases, you met the original crafter, and now it's their son or daughter that's carrying on the business for them, and that's really, really nice to see.
Okay, Max, we're going to talk about the changes.
Excellent.
Okay, you take it away.
So probably the biggest physical change is going to be the addition of a gymnasium. So if you're driving down Thistle Street, you'll see this big, super high structure. That is going to be the gymnasium. It's going to have 2 full-size basketball courts, as well as 6 badminton courts. It's going to have volleyball, basketball, and pickleball. Yes, pickleball is huge. So when we first started talking about a gymnasium, there was no pickleball. And now it's a huge sport. It's the most calls we're getting right now are people asking us, are we going to have pickleball? And yes, we will. We'll have, between both courts, we'll have up to 6 pickleball courts that we can run. And we're also going to be able to divide the gym in a couple different segments. So, for example, we could have 3 pickleball courts on, plus maybe badminton on the other side, or basketball, or things like that.
Well, that's good, because I was wondering how you're going to, get those so that everybody's happy, everybody has some time.
Well, and that's the goal. The goal is to make sure that everybody has some time. I don't know if we'll make everybody happy. By talking to groups...
You can never make everybody happy.
No. And talking to groups, everybody is desperate for space. And we have a lot of groups that are excited about being able to come to the Sportsplex, because not only will we have the gymnasium, we'll also have a fitness center and the pool and a running track and also meeting room spaces and studio spaces. And for a lot of sports, that combination is really, really valuable.
But the real big thing that's happening here is the gymnasium.
Then we're also going to upgrade or redo our fitness center, which is going to be really nice.
And it's going to be on the front, on the Wise Road?
It's going to be on the Wise Road side. So if you drove by before, you would have seen those steps that came up to the spectators entrance. Well, that entrance is now going to come out further, and that's going to be the new fitness center. Plus, we're also going to have new fitness studios, new meeting rooms, which will be in spaces they were before, but they'll be spruced up, redone. Plus, we're also just going to open the building up a lot more, so there'll be a lot more glass. So when you came in the building previously, you would have walked in and you would have seen the bathrooms.
Yeah.
Now we're going to put a new back entranceway where the front desk will be, so the moment you walk in, there's going to be somebody there to say hello and help you figure out where you're going.
Oh, great, because, it was kind of strange having it, like the front part, people really didn't come in the Wise Road entrance.
We had about 2%
And that's
of the
where
people who came to the building.
That's where the desk.
And that's where the desk was. So you had a lot of people, especially first time at the Sportsplex, they would walk in off the parking lot door, and they would stand there and try and read all the signs to figure out where they were going. Now we'll have the desk right there. So Michelle or her staff will be right there able to say good morning or good afternoon, ask you where you want to go, and make sure you know where you're heading. And then when you walk in the building, instead of that big bank of bathrooms, there's going to be a big triangular staircase that will lead you down to the pool, have a big skylight, and then across the way will be some of the fitness center and the pool. The courts will be on your left, but all of it will have glass floor to ceiling where we can, so that you can see everything. We have people who actually have been coming to the Sportsplex and never knew we had an arena, because if you didn't go in the arena, you couldn't see it. And now you'll be in the upper foyer. You'll be able to look across the foyer, see the pool, see the water slides, kids in lessons, people swimming. You'll look to your right and you'll see the track, and you can go right into the track. You can go down onto the ice surface and to all those other spaces. So it's really going to be a very different experience when you walk in the building.
There's really nothing happening in the rink.
Well, there is right now.
I mean, those chairs are fairly new, aren't they, the seating?
The seating in the arena is the original seating.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
It is. We've replaced some of it that was damaged. And we get a number of things that use seats in there. We have a number of community events that go on that use seating. Plus, some of our hockey teams, especially during playoffs, they get hundreds of fans who come.
Oh, yes.
You look especially at the competition maybe between some of the groups from Sydney and Dartmouth. We've had 500-600 or more fans in the seats for those games. So it's really good in there. And the running track's a big attraction to a lot of people. One of the things we're really pleased about during the construction is we've been able to open the track.
Yes, that's good.
So we opened it just after Thanksgiving. We'll keep it open till probably the end of March or the beginning of April. And then we'll shut everything down because we're going to be taking all the power out and water out and so on for periods of time.
And then you'll shut it down.
Yeah, and then it'll reopen all in September.
And you'll still be able to walk the track when there's a hockey game on?
Depends on the hockey games. For the hockey games where they charge admission, then we don't have the track open to the public because it's hard to figure out who's paying for what. But during a regular hockey practice or regular just league play, we usually have the track open and you can go in and take a walk and go around. And during this next 8 months where we have the track open,
It'll be used a lot.
It'll be used a lot.
Depending on the weather.
Depending on the weather, absolutely. You see, once there's ice on the ground, a lot more people come. And we've also been able to keep a small section off the track where we've been able to put a couple of rowing machines, a couple of ellipticals and things like that. And that's been pretty popular already.
Okay, we're taking a break, Max.
Perfect.
We'll be back in a minute. I'll be back with Destination Dartmouth and Max Chauvin. Well, Max, we're back. Max, there'll be no more bingo at the Sportsplex.
No, so we've had bingo for over 20 years, and great thing to have in the community and very popular. But to fit the gymnasium in, that footprint space had to be used, and so unfortunately we stopped bingo at the end of May.
So what happens to that room?
So that footprint space is actually needed to create the gymnasium. So it'll actually be part of the gymnasium space, and right in the corner where the office was is actually going to be the new child minding area where parents, when they're coming in to work out, can drop their kids off.
So Max, we're talking about the building being old and tired, but when the building was built, it was built to the standards of a building at that time.
Absolutely. So this used to be the site of the Memorial Arena.
I saw it burn.
You saw it burn. And so that happened in '74. And in 1980, the city of Dartmouth built the new Sportsplex. And at that point, we rebuilt the arena with some extra seating because we knew that we needed seating for some of the bigger hockey events that were coming to the community.
Right.
And
we had a team.
And we had a team. The other thing that the city needed to do at that time was it was growing and we needed a pool. So the big features of the Sportsplex then were the arena, the pool, and we also had 4 courts, 2 racquetball and 2 squash, and a few meeting rooms. But people should remember, back then, there was no community fitness.
No.
So the building, while old and tired, was built to what you expected a building to be like, how it was supposed to be back in '84. Just by the time you get to 2017, people's what they want, building materials, everything has changed.
So Max, we're going to talk a bit about the Sportsplex being more accessible to people.
Absolutely.
People with lower income and.
Yeah. So there's a lot. Accessibility is a number of things. The most common one we talk about is physical accessibility. Can people get in and out? And so we're doing a couple things for that. On the back door, or what will be the front door when you come in, going to be sliding doors now instead of push buttons, so it's easy to get in and out.
Oh, that's great.
We're making sure that
you just walk up and they open.
You walk up and they open. And that way, and whether that's somebody in a wheelchair, somebody with a walker, even a mom with a stroller. We get lots of, we do a swim every so often with the PAMBA organization, parents of multiple births, and you get a mom or a dad with these big strollers. It's going to be a big help to them when they walk up to the door and the door opens. On the bathrooms and the locker rooms, instead of having big doors like we do now, we're going to have that curved entranceway like you see in a modern building. Again, makes things easier for people. And even in the pool, we're going to have that ramp that goes into the small pool now. So if you're, for example, in a wheelchair, we'll have a different chair for you to transfer into, and then you can wheel yourself in the pool. Because otherwise you have to have a lift, and that means the person has to go ask the lifeguard, they have to wheel it over. A lot more dignity if you can take care of yourself.
Sure.
So that's physical accessibility, and we're doing some other work as well. But then there's financial. People who are having challenges being able to afford to come to the building. So we already have some programs for scholarships to swimming lessons through the Catherine Shido Gillis I Want to Swim Fund, but we do work with the school board, with community services, with other groups to try and help people have access. We get some support from the provincial government through their Thrive program, which funds all that work. But in addition, there are some other things that we think we can do. We're going to try and put 3 or 4 fitness classes a week in the gymnasium and not charge for them.
That would be great.
Anybody who wants to come down, maybe you want to do Zumba, we'll probably have a chair fit, but those couple times a week you can come in and just say, hey, I'm here for the community chair fit class, or for the Wednesday Zumba class, and they'll send you right in.
It's great because we talk about obesity.
We do.
And a lot of people can't afford to go to a gym.
No.
And this would be great for them.
It would be.
And they don't even have to be obese. I mean, it's so great for your heart. It's so great for your mind.
Yeah.
Exercise, the whole thing.
Yeah. And we even have some other things that help with that. We have a yellow line around the center of our running track that's helpful to people with dementia who get disoriented because they just focus on that line and they go round.
Oh, isn't that great?
So that helps people. And there are other things we can do. We're going to reach out to, I met a lady from the CNIB a few weeks ago who said she would come in and help us think about people who have visual challenges. So for example, she suggested, can we print everything in 16-point font? Well, that's easy. We can easily create that.
Oh, sure.
And do things like that to help people. The same as things for people with who perhaps are hearing impaired, flashing lights that warn you of things. So there's lots of little things that we're going to do between now and getting ready to reopen that will help us be more accessible that way. But there's also other accessibility challenges. There are people who find it hard to get here. So it's a big help that we have the new Dartmouth bus terminal up there.
That's wonderful.
We're looking at getting bike lockers because sometimes people are nervous about leaving their bike because someone might steal it.
Well, that's a reality.
And so you'll see those around the community. I was up the weekend at Dartmouth Crossing, and you can see a number of businesses not only have bike racks, but they have bike lockers so you can really secure your bike.
I didn't notice those.
So we're keen on that. The other thing I think that's important is for a lot of people, the barriers to coming here are psychological. You mentioned people with obesity and heart attacks. We were very proud to be one of the host sites of Hearts in Motion, which is a program from the Nova Scotia Health Authority where people who've recently had a heart attack or a stroke come in. And they have meeting space and they use the fitness center.
Will that continue?
It will. We're hoping to have them back. But one of the things that you discover there with some of those folks is they've never been to a gym. And you can imagine somebody who's 50 or 60, the first time they want to come. So we're going to make a real commitment to make sure that people who have never been in before feel welcome and that they know that we can help them, because a lot of them, that's a real challenge for them.
Yeah, and Max, the swim team will be back.
The swim team will be back. We're actually hoping they're going to be back to do some dry land training on the track during this year while we're closed, but we're looking forward to having them back.
Yeah, because it's been difficult for them.
It has, and we're really proud of our relationship with the swim team. The Dartmouth Crusaders has touched a lot of families.
Yeah.
Your granddaughter
My
swam
family.
swam with them.
And grandson.
A lot of our staff have come from the Crusader Swim Club, And they've done very well in competition, and even produced 4 Olympians over their time frame. So
Well,
we're looking
Max,
forward to
we
that.
could talk a lot longer about the Sportsplex and all the great services it has provided, and how wonderful it's going to be when it's open, and how many people are going to be rushing back.
Oh, we figure it's going to be pretty exciting when this opens. It's going to be gorgeous, and there'll be all sorts of new things to do with the gymnasium and other areas. It's going to be great great in September.
Yeah, I can hardly wait to see it, because it's going to be it'll just be like day and night.
Absolutely. Yeah, people won't recognize it anymore.
No, it's great. So Max, thank you very much, and hang in there. You've got a little bit of time to put up with all this change and all the noise and everything else, but you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for having me today.
And thanks for being here. Thank you for watching. See you next time.